16. Hello, Marvin Pierce Dog Teacher. Welcome, everybody. We got several subjects tonight that we're going to talk about, but we'd like to have some questions. Technical difficulties there. Well, it wasn't me this time again. I'm innocent. I want you to know. But we are, like I said, we're going to talk dogs, of course, and answer questions and talk about dogs. I always like to talk about some of the dogs that went home. And today we had two big dogs. A German Shepherd went home, and then I don't remember, what was Goofy?
A lab mix.
A lab, big jug-headed dog mix of some kind. I'm not sure. But he went home today too, and he was super, super cool. I mean, the people were happy. They've been up in the woods with him off leash, running around and stuff, and they had him on leash, off leash. We've had him out with packs of dogs for the last couple of weeks. It's fun to see the difference in the dog, and the name fits him so well too. And he'd been shot in the butt once, had his throat cut once, and he still lives. So it's evident that he didn't want to die. And he just made a super nice dog for him, and he's young too. What was he, a year older, a little over?
Yeah, he was young.
And then Winter went home. He was like 18-month-old German Shepherd that hadn't been neutered yet. And he came here, he just screamed loud. I mean, he was just, anytime the lady that owned him, her and her husband, anytime she was around her, their kid, I guess. And they couldn't have him around dogs very well. And yesterday I had him out in the playground with I think 6 or 7 other dogs. And I had him to turn dogs out while we were out there and let them come through the gate and made him behave. And we had strangers walk up to the gate. We got some people out here building a fence. And we had them, they walked up the fence, talked to us and stuff, and he never lost his mind or nothing. And today we took him out in the woods, me and the owner, and we had him out there with Bear, Roxy, and Mari. And he never, I mean, to me, he never made no mistakes as far as being with other dogs and being out in the big woods. So it's fun to see the difference with him. And now we'll see how he does since he went home. That tells the tale when they go to the house and go back to their environment and see how they do. And Goofy, I expect greatness for him. I'd rather seen Winter be a little bit better when he went home, but they're excited to take him home, and he's been here 3 weeks, so they could always bring him back if they have to. And then last night I got bit again by the little dog. Sunk a tooth in my quick on my finger, and that wasn't never no fun. And that's a dog that hadn't tried to bite me. Well, when it first got here, Roxy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she tried to bite me. Well, of course, everybody when she first got here. But now she's been doing so good, and then last night she lost it because I tried to get her to do something, and she didn't want. Her mommy was here, and she didn't want to do it, so she tried to eat me. And by the time we were done, we were buddies again. But for me, you know, I think that's what gets a lot of these dogs into bad reputation and gets them into so much trouble is they bite somebody, and then the person who gets bit normally quits. And then the dog won, and then that's the dog. Every time you try to do something with them, they try to bite you. And for me, I feel that I always say somebody's got to take the hit and fix them little dogs. And I think last night really woke that little dog up and let it understand that it can't just bite somebody because it doesn't agree with you. And it, like I said, it was doing good when the owner left. The dog's still here, but it's still back to the fact that I feel that the dog learned something. It's not even that it won or lost. It just learned something. And we've got, we have TikTok going now. We have, I think, 5 whole videos on there, huh?
It's going.
Yeah, we're on a roll. And people are viewing them. And you can go on there. The one dog on there, Bear, he's the one sitting there. And lady's trying, well, he's asking the lady to pet him. And he's my cow dog. I use him to move cattle and goats and do clinics and stuff. And I use him in lessons and classes a lot, and he just a mooch. He always wants somebody to pet on him, and he's pretty polite about it. So the video itself's fun, and he helps me like every day, at least once, if not 4 or 5 times. He helps me do a lesson or a class or something, and he lays around and waits on us. And now Bianca's dog Scout's getting to be the same way. He lays around and waits on us to need him, so it's pretty fun to see. So, do we have any questions, Brett?
Not yet, Marvin.
Okay, we're going to talk about Tips for bringing home a new pup. You know, I see people bring home a new pup because their dog's being bad. Excuse me. So they go get a puppy to help calm the dog down, and I don't know that it ever worked. For me, I feel that if you're going to bring a pup home and you have a dog at home, the dog at home should be a well-mannered dog. If not, I don't know that you're not looking to have two unmannered dogs at home. So I feel that if you're going to bring another pup home, try to get manners on the one that you have before you bring one in. And for me, I always tell people to never let the old dog school the young pup, because one day the young pups might be a bigger dog than the old dog, and then you're going to have dog fights. So I try to do all the schooling on my dogs myself, and I don't let one dog correct another one. Dogs around kids, you know, for me that's just a touchy subject that I don't know. I have a hard time with it because of the fact that sometimes people have an older dog and he's kind of a high energy dog anyway, and he's not really well mannered, and then they decide to have children and they bring home this little baby, and this dog doesn't like the idea of having to share his people with a little baby, and it makes it hard. And here yesterday or today, I don't know, I'd done a lesson with somebody, and the grandmother got a pup for the granddaughter, and granddaughter's like 5 or whatever. And they got her a pup, and so that pup can grow up with her. And I think that makes a huge difference because of the fact that they both get to grow up, and they got to make the pup mine now so he don't bite on the kid and jump all over the kid. So I think in that scenario it's a lot different. And I know everybody can't do that, you know. A lot of people have dogs and then they bring children home. For me, if your dog's well-mannered, you keep an eye on everything and make sure everything's what it's supposed to be, then you prevent those problems. But me, I have a zero tolerance for a dog that bites a little kid or tries to bite a little kid. So,
and if you have a dog and you don't have kids, find someone who does.
For me, always, anytime you have a pup, and you should, I mean, I don't care, rent a kid or whatever. Most people's got a niece or a nephew, they can take them to Dairy Queen.
Someone needs a babysitter.
Yeah, everybody wants a babysitter, especially right now. Everybody wants to get rid of the kids. So, but yeah, Bianca says a really good point. And for me, I tell people that, you know, if you don't have children, if you're ever going to have children, take your puppy around children and get them used to children, cats, dogs, chickens, goats, water. We got a dog here that don't even like water. He'll try to bite you, I guess, if you get around water, which I forgot about, and I sprayed him down with a water hose yesterday. And he was pretty cool. Actually, was almost having fun with it. So
we do have one question, Marvin, if you're ready for it.
Yeah.
Susie said, a friend has an 11-week puppy at home who is always nibbling on her. What would you suggest she could do to make sure the biting doesn't continue or get worse?
For me, I'm probably going to get hate mail from this, but I constantly tell people, and I pick so many little puppies that are 7, 8, 10 weeks old, and it's a perfect time to fix them. I mean, it's so easy to fix them at that stage in life, but the older they get, the harder it is to fix. And I feel that the older they get, the more they'll have flashbacks. But if you take that little pup and it tries to mouth on you, if you take its nose and just be no, and then you just pet its nose, make it calm itself down, keep its mouth shut and pet it, it might take you 2 or 3 times, but normally it just quits. But I have never seen great results from puppies that nibble on you. When you start reading them a book about how you're going to tell on them when somebody comes home from work or whatever, or if you're going to put them in timeout, you're going to put them in a kennel, or they're not going to get a treat. I don't know any of those, or they will get a treat if they quit. I don't know if any of those work. For me, like I said, if you just tap that pup on the nose, and you can use one finger and just say no and pet it, and like I said, for me, it's always went away. We got 3 up here in the pen now. They're like 8 or 10 week old lab pups for sale. And I had one little kid yesterday before, and she started petting it, and it started trying to mouth on her. And it took me like 2 seconds to get that pup to quit. I just tapped on the nose and said no and petted on its muzzle, and then the little kid petted on its muzzle and never opened his mouth again. So for me, that is simple to fix. just be consistent with it. Don't let it mouth on you 1 second because you're busy and then make it quit the next. Just make it stop and don't let it start again. So for people that already have dogs, we got some questions here to answer that I just got a text from Brett, and I don't know. I think some of them's questions we make up, and just because we don't have a lot of questions, some nights we can't keep up. I think it depends on whether it's sunny or whatever outside. If we have them at midnight, there'd be more people on there, probably people set up board. But for me, whenever you, like I was talking about earlier, when you want to bring a new dog into your house and you have a dog, I feel you have to make the dog mind that you have at home. And we get it so many times. We've got a dog coming in for board and train here shortly. The people came over for a lesson, they adopted a dog, and it was terrible. And the people got out of the truck with it, and the dog was a little bit ornery, but I don't even remember what all was wrong with it. I think he couldn't get it around people or dogs, and it bit the owners a few times. And I heard a dog barking in the truck, and I said, "What do you got in the truck?" And it was the same kind of dog, only it was a little bit older. And I said, "Did you ever think that your problem is in your truck and not the new dog?" And they're like, "No, no way." They said, "That's a really nice dog." And so we went to the round pen, and if I'm not mistaken, and I mean I work a lot of dogs, but I think we ended up bringing dogs in with that dog and let it run around, and we petted on the dog, and they worked on the dog. And it come to find out, I think they got a really nice dog. They had rescued or adopted or whatever you call it. And so I told them again that maybe they ought to think about their other dog they raised. It might be a problem. And they just came up the other night and got a leash or an e-collar or something. And they said they were bringing back their own personal dog for training for 3 weeks. They did figure out that the problem might lie in their own dog. So me normally, if somebody comes here with 2 dogs and one of them's a real problem dog, I ask them to put a leash on the problem dog, and then I want to work with the other one. Because the majority of the time, the other one is the instigator that causes trouble. And I mean, I don't even know, 89% of the time probably it turns out to be that way. And I still say that I think the real problem dog is the one that hides in a corner and flips the other dog off and makes funny faces at him and whatever he can do to get the other dog in trouble, and then he sits back and watches. So another one is, should a person have a space or a place for a dog to go to? I always feel we should. And I don't feel the dog should run there because they're in trouble. I feel the dog goes there because we've asked them to, or they're tired of us, or they're tired of the kids. Then they can go to their place, the bed, crate, whatever it is, and be happy ever after, and nobody aggravates it. Now at the same time, you can call it off that place if you want and have it go do whatever you want to do. But for me, you could always send a dog there if they get tired of the kids. Get tired of the kids or the grandkids, you can send a dog there. Or they can go there by themselves. It makes a lot of difference.
It's a place for them to clock out.
It is, for sure. And even if they're being just crazy, bouncing off the walls and the couches and stuff, you can send them there and they'll chill out. That dog Pico that was here, that lady sent me a picture of it laying on the bed with a cat, I think, before they were having trouble.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're doing real good with it. Bluesy wants to eat my ass, though. He's mad. He don't want me to touch his feet. So I got him with a muzzle on now, so he handles the muzzle okay, but he still don't want you bothering his feet. And I'm trying to teach him to shake hands. I have him shaking hands a couple times a day, even though he don't want to touch my hand. Don't want my hand to touch his feet, but he'll shake hands with me now a little bit. So at least he's trying to cooperate. And that dog had, I think, a dew claw tore up or tore off or something one time. So now he thinks every time you touch him, you're going to rip one off. So he doesn't want it done. And me, I'd like to teach him that it is okay, but I don't know if I'll have enough time in my life or his to do that, because he's really having a hard time with it.
You do talk about that a lot, though, and not if a dog doesn't like its feet touched, you don't just go straight to trimming its nails.
No, don't get the saw out and start cutting nails. And another thing, our vet, Newburgh vet, one of them was up here last night talking to me for a while about dogs and different things, and like he was saying, it was a really good point for people. When you get a puppy, start trimming on their nails and brushing their feet and checking their teeth and their ears and just really fool with them and every part of their body. I mean, massage it and touch it. it makes a huge difference for them when they get older. Because even if you do something terrible like step on their toe, then they're not going to bite you and avoid you from letting you touch their toe again. They're going to understand that it's just things happen, and they go on with life. They're a lot more likely to anyway. And if you wait till those dogs get 2 or 3 years old and then not once they need their toenails trimmed, sometimes it's pretty tough. The big yellow dog, Ryder, he don't like his feet fooled with. So we're going to trim his toenails here the next few days. Me and Mariah, or me and you. Well, you're not. You're going on vacation. Me and Mariah will have to try to do it or somebody. But it is fun for me to see the change in the dogs when they've been here for 3 weeks board and train, as far as giving them a bath and trimming their toenails or whatever. There's a huge difference in them because they've just been minding and not sleeping on the couch. Although they got a pretty nice cot, but it's not the couch. All right, Brett, we got any questions?
Yeah, you got a couple. I'm not sure if you want to choose to address this. Someone's asking your opinion on 100% positive reinforcements training.
Would that be like treats and cookies and stuff?
It's a good question. That was their only question. Your opinion on 100% positive reinforcement. We can go back to that one.
Yeah, just explain a little better, whoever's asked the question.
Someone else said, any suggestions for a rescue from a Texas hurricane that has severe separation anxiety and has been rehomed 3 times here in Oregon?
What is it? What breed is it and how old is it?
Not sure what breed. It's from Rodney, but you might know.
So, hey, yeah, with Rodney, you say?
Yeah.
So, Rodney, let us know what age and what breed of dog it is. For me, I feel that dogs, I mean, we get a lot of rescue dogs here that we work with, and a lot of times they've been rehomed several times. And I feel some of it is because of the fact that they just start taking over a house and ownership, and nobody makes a mind whenever they start getting out of control. It's like they try to walk lightly around them and not upset them, and they give them treats or whatever. And that's the reason they got rehomed to start with, is because they just took over a house or a person and it caused chaos, and the people give up and kick them out.
Rodney said a mixed breed and 6 years old.
Ooh, man. And what is it doing?
It's just a rescue from a Texas hurricane, has severe separation anxiety, and has been rehomed 3 times. It's in Oregon.
Well, for me, one of the things is a mixed breed, but is it a 40-pound dog or a 120-pound dog? Is it dog fighting? Is it dog aggressive? Is it people aggressive? Does it bite people? I mean, for me, for separation anxiety, I feel there's got to be a lot more information for me to really help, which I'd be glad to try to help, but we need a lot more information. Like I said, what size dog is it? You know, is it a pit bull cross that weighs 100 pounds and a jug head on it, and whenever it bites you, it's going to send you down to the hospital? And does it want to bite people, or does it want a dog fight? Is it aggressive on leashes? I mean, there's so many different things that help with those dogs, but majority of the time for me, like Bronc, another dog we work with here quite a bit for the last few months, I think that one of the big steps for any of these dogs is when you can start putting them out with a pack of dogs so they can see how dogs act. I think it helps, as long as they're good dogs, I think it helps change dogs' attitudes and the way they react. So.
Okay. This is one of the last questions. Susie says, how old does a puppy need to be for your board and train program?
For board and train, we like it to be 6 months or close, depending on what breed of dog it is. But ideally for me is now we have a dog that's been coming here, I don't even know how long, and it was going to come and board and train, but now it's doing so good I don't even know if they're going to board and train it. That little German Shepherd, Hydro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she was
That
up
one was
there.
real ornery when she first came.
Yeah, she's going home. She just went home a while ago. She was here today playing.
That's awesome.
And they don't know if they're even going to board and train her. Some people can't even hardly slow down when they throw their dogs out. They had enough of them. They want them fixed. So for me, we like for them to be 6 months before we take them in board and train. But you can definitely come in for some lessons between now and then to make your life a lot easier.
Okay. Carol says that she'll be out with whiskey for the nails. Then it won't take 4 of us. get those done.
Just let us know, Carol.
Perfect. That was your last question.
The one question we didn't answer is essentially asking our opinion on not using any form of discipline and only reward-based training.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah.
And for me, if you do 100% positive anything for a dog, or 100% anything negative to a dog, it's really hard to win. I mean, that's more of a treat train base, I think, that you only tell your dog how sweet they are and how good they are. And can you train a dog like that? Yes, I have years ago. But I think the difference is, and an old timer told me one time that he trained 2 really jug-headed Catahoula dogs to be a cow dog. And he said each one of those dogs, he could have trained a good level-headed hanging tree or border collie, 2 or 3 dogs in the time it took him to train the 1 dog.
Yeah.
So for me, and I understand why people only want to do positive reinforcement with training a dog. I understand why, but I feel that, and I don't know, I don't see it working. I mean, and I know it does work because I've done it myself. So can it work? Yes. I think you've got to be some kind of really into dog training. You've got to really be into loving what you're doing, but I don't know how someone would do it without a lot of help.
And it kind of has to be a full-time job.
Yeah.
Like it's not, you can't have another job and make the time to.
Well, I think you could have a full-time job and make that kind of dog because of the minutes versus the hours, you know? But I think it just, the bad thing about it is you come home from work and you're tired and wet and cold and muddy, whatever, and you're already pissy, and then here you want this dog to love you and be really good, and he's like, no, I'm going to go pee on the truck tire or something. Mm-hmm. And then you're already mad, and then it just goes south from there, you know? And so I feel that whenever it comes to only positive things when training a dog, that there is no consequences. Mm-hmm. And for me, I go back to that 14, 15-year-old kid that you bring to get help that's already burning down houses and robbing banks, you know. It's like, how do you fix it? And we get a lot of dogs here that's only been positive things in their training life. And we don't do only positive because we use a pinch collar and electric collars, whatever, you know. But I feel that the bad thing about it is whenever you try to only do everything positive, the majority of the time, I just feel that you're not going to make a dog mind. That's bottom line. So, yes, you can do it. Well, it can be done. I don't know if whoever's asking can do it. But I wouldn't do it. I mean, I think that time in life is too valuable for me to spend that kind of time on a dog that's going to go home and not be treated the same way as I'm going to treat them. I think you'll be trying to give them not you, but some people will be trying to give them cheeseburgers and Pop-Tarts and onion rings and French fries and treats and candy bars and to get them to do something good.
And that woman that came in with the lab the other day had done only reward-based training and really needed help because her dog was minutes away from breaking her knee just because it didn't understand.
Yes, that's a big black dog.
Yeah, and the one thing she said that really stood out to me was that when she watched us use the pinch collar, she said, this isn't really a negative experience for my dog. And it wasn't. The dog understood the correction and was just getting communication. It wasn't.
If
the
you
word
use
negative doesn't really fit to what we do.
Yes, if you use them correctly.
Yeah.
And that's a bad thing for me, I feel that. And I've seen it so many times in my life. People only want to do positive things and never want to be mean to their dog. But you'll see a 40-pound dog dragging a 300-pound person down the street with the leash tight, gasping for air. Mm-hmm. And the people say, I don't want to be mean to my dog. I'm like, well, what are you doing? I mean, to me, that's a lot worse, I feel, than what I do. Because what we do here, in usually 3 weeks, you can take your dog for a walk out through the woods without a leash on, or with a leash and loose leash. Mm-hmm. Now, if you follow what we've taught the dog and taught you, if you go back to being yourself before you got here, a lot of times it won't work that way. But if you follow I think the instructions and you continue on, then you'll be pretty amazed at what you can get out of a dog. So, any more questions?
That was it, Marvin.
I think we're just going to bail.
Yep.
It's a good time to stop. We'll eat some dinner, and I'm going to go work some dogs. So, thank y'all, and we'll see you next week. Have a good evening.